You see that jiggle?
其实最妙的是在最后，这个我告诉你，你只要冲那个温水就不会，这就是秘诀。
Hello, I'm making lunch today and I'm gonna be making one of my favorite comfort food growing up, the Chinese steamed egg. It's super simple. Technically, you just need 2 ingredients, egg and chicken stock. I'm gonna go a little fancy today with some shrimp. If you like to eat eggs, you gotta try this dish. And I love kind of like mixing together with some rice. Oh, it's just so comforting. The thing about this dish is it is so good until it's overcooked, and then it just becomes this like spongy, airy, overcooked egg thing, and that is not tasty. So I will be sharing with you the trick to getting my mom's silky smooth, custardy, almost silken tofu-like texture. So yeah, let's get started. Simple setup today. You just need 2 eggs, some chicken stock. I'm using unsalted, and seafood of your choice. You can use scallop, I'm using shrimp, or even mushrooms is fine. So the first thing we're gonna prep are our shrimps. So if you saw my last video with my mom with the walnut shrimp, this is the same shrimp. We get them deveined and split open from the back, kind of like this. They're from Costco. They're frozen shrimps, but we find this quality to be pretty decent for frozen shrimp. Butterfly the shrimps, have to glide along the back from head to tail. Make sure that it's even, both sides are about the same size. Press it down with the back of your knife, and then it's butterflied. This is just so that it cooks a little bit faster, and also it's prettier like this. This is what we have. Now we're going to wash it by adding in some cornstarch and a little bit of salt. And really what that does is it will remove the fishiness and any sticky residue from the shrimp. After I wash it, it's actually going to become more translucent. So I'll show you. So you just need about, enough to cover your shrimp. Doesn't really matter. We're going to be washing this off. A little bit of salt just for seasoning. And then with your hand, you're just going to grab it. The cornstarch also tenderizes the shrimp, and in a way it traps in the moisture so that it doesn't leak into your steamed egg. Keeps the shrimp really juicy. So I like to repeat this step a couple of times, maybe 3 to 4 times, until the water runs completely clear. And you can see that the shrimp looks like opaque and translucent now. Squeeze out as much of the water as you can, because any excess water will end up in the egg, and you don't want that. To achieve the custardy texture, there are 6 techniques in total. Number 1 is about beating the egg. Make sure that your whites and your yolk are completely homogeneous until you cannot see any white streaks. While I'm doing this, I'm going to show you technique 2 and 3. Number 2 is ratio of liquid to egg. Now, because eggs come in different sizes, it's quite hard to give you a specific measurement, and my mom has a trick, and it's to use the shell itself. We're actually going to use this to measure. I'm going to be using doubled amount of liquid, and again, this is just chicken stock. You can use water, so double the amount. This is 1 egg, 2 eggs, 3 eggs, 4 eggs. 4 egg worth of liquid to 2 whole eggs. Technique number 3 is actually the temperature. We're going to be heating this up just until that it's still good to touch, not burning, but definitely not a boiling. So you can use a temperature gun, or you can kind of just be really careful and test it with your hand. About 50 degrees is what you're trying to reach. Okay, so this is pretty homogeneous to me. My chicken stock is still currently heating up. I'm going to be marinating my shrimp. So it's been sitting for a while. Some more liquid came out. I'm gonna be seasoning this very lightly. Generally with shrimp, Chinese cooking love to use white pepper. So just a little bit of that. Also, my favorite thing about this recipe is that everything is pretty much to taste. But of course, I will leave down an estimated measurement in the description box. But yeah, this is a pretty good recipe to train your cooking ability to kind of like season by feeling. Just a sprinkle of this here, a sprinkle of that there, a little bit of salt, tiniest amount of soy sauce, just a little bit. Actually, we're also going to add in a little bit of cornstarch. It'll keep the shrimp juicy too. Okay, so this is ready. We're gonna set this aside. So I have my chicken stock heated up. So the body temperature is about 36 degree-ish. So this, you should be able to stick your finger in and just feel that it's warm, but definitely not burning you. So now on to the next step. All you're gonna do is just incorporate these two together. And I used a measuring cup just because I was curious. It came to about 200 milliliter. So for those like medium-sized eggs, it would be about 200 mil. And I mean, it's plus or minus, but because these are the only two ingredients, this is how you get that perfect ratio. Now we are on to our fourth technique. Do you see how there's a lot of foam at the bottom? You're gonna actually scrape that off, because if you let this sit on top, that's how you get some of that like crater looking bubbles on the very top. It doesn't really change the texture of the dish, but aesthetically, it's a tiny little detail. So if you're wondering why you need to use lukewarm liquid, it's because generally speaking, you don't want too much of shock happening when you cook anything really. So if I put in cold egg with cold liquid and immediately into a hot steamer, it's just too aggressive and you won't get that silky texture. But more importantly, the slightly higher temperature will help the eggs kind of thicken up a little bit and to prevent separation. This way, it sort of helps it bind together and make it more of a cohesive texture. And you get something like this, all right? So that's technique number 4. The container that you steam this in is quite important, and we find something like this to work out really, really well, and it cooks under 10 minutes. So try to find something with a similar height and circumference. If it's taller, you might have to steam a little bit longer. We find this works out the best for us. Now technique number 5 is actually covering it, just like you would when you make like creme brulee. Again, tiny little detail to make it just a little bit smoother, and it prevents any like water droplets from condensation from falling in. I'm actually gonna poke some holes. The saran wrap itself would also collect condensation. The last technique has to do with the steamer. I had it come to a boil on high, and now I'm turning it down to a medium. It will be a 5 on our setting, and you're going to steam this for about 3 to 5 minutes just until the surface hardens, and then we're going to add the shrimp in. So technique number 6 is really just timing of the steaming and the temperature. I'm gonna cover it with a lid and set a timer. Okay, Google, set a timer for 3 minutes. As you saw, we didn't season the egg mixture because there's a flavor from the chicken stock and the egg already. But what we will do is to make a sauce on top of it and then drizzle it on. All you will need is some soy sauce and sesame oil. 1-to-1 ratio. If you like something really saucy, you can add more. So I'm only gonna do about like a tablespoon of each. And I'm eyeballing it, but once again, I will put down the exact ratio in the description. And we're going to heat this up just to warm it up, let it come together a little bit, and it's ready. Okay, it's been 3 minutes. Let's check up on it. Okay, so the surface of mine is actually not hardened yet. I'm gonna wait another minute. Okay, it's been about a minute. Okay, the surface is hard now. I'm gonna quickly show you. If you come here and look, the top, do you see that? It's like just hardening. Okay, this is what we're gonna put on our shrimp. Spray the shrimp over. And very gently, we are going to lay our butterfly shrimp right on top. Just like that. It's okay if it sinks in a little bit. We're gonna cover this with the lid, and we're gonna let this steam for maybe, I would say 2 more minutes, just until the shrimp is cooked. For decoration, I want to have some green onions on it, and we're gonna do green onion curls. I'm gonna show you a technique I learned in culinary school. Basically, you want to keep only the green part. Take your green part and then cut slices, long and thin as you can. You can even, honestly, I think, use your hand. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so something like this, and immediately you're gonna put it in some cold, ideally iced water, just like this. And what this does, it's going to make everything curl up. Okay, so you don't want to oversteam this. It's been about 2 minutes and you can see that the shrimps are fully cooked. So if I like tap it, you can see everything is jiggling. Be careful here. The scallions, which all turn into these pretty little curls. Do you see that? Okay, so let's just sprinkle it on. For the very last step, you're gonna pour in your sauce. Oh my God, do you see that jiggle? So I'm gonna do a taste test, but I just want you to see like how custardy this is. Do you see that? You can't even see like air bubbles here. Let me get a bite with just the egg. It's so smooth. The shrimp is perfectly juicy too. Okay, I'm gonna get my parents to get a taste too. I can probably eat this whole thing myself. Honestly, this is pretty good for just like a dinner. 妈，过来尝一口，好好吃哦。
做得漂亮吗？
我已经蒯进去了，但 so good, so smooth. Because I ate some. 好好吃啊。
好吃。
哎呀，
How is it?
好吃。
你知道我最后是怎么把它 finish 的吗？我是快好的时候，我把它拿出来，我放了葱，放了酱，然后我放回锅里，就是余热的时候，我再焖了一会儿。因为我不喜欢生葱的味道。
哦，
因为你尝尝这个葱。
我也不爱吃葱。
对啊，但是这个熟葱好吃，真的，你尝一个，你可以吃出 difference，right？是不是？
好吃好吃。
好，真不错，你的 technique 很好。
其实我很喜欢那个蒸蛋拌饭，
我也是，这是我小时候爱吃的。
我到现在还爱吃。
What do you want?
Anything. Whatever you have.